understand what's happening in the schools and some of the different types of ratings you see and some of the information that you're given. And then I have a local principal who's here and hopefully can speak and answer some questions as well. So please, if you have questions, feel free to ask them. I want to make sure that you come away with some answers. So I am all about advocating for our local schools. And not just because of my position, but I have been a Smyrna resident for 15 years since I moved to Georgia. And I love Smyrna. I love everything about the area. I love the people. I love the diversity. I love the down-home feel. It's so close to this big, to downtown Atlanta. So I'm really a big advocate of what happens in Smyrna and a big proponent for things. And I really want to just dispel some myths and make people, aware of some different information sources that you can utilize when you're talking to your clients about schools here in our area. And I've worked in the district for 15 years since I moved here. This is the only school district I've worked for. So we have 114 schools, and I've worked in most of those in different capacities. I started out as a special education teacher, and then I worked at Fitzhugh Lee Center of Haven Academy. Then I worked with the district office in different various roles. So I've been in those schools, including some of the charter schools and including some of the special program schools. And currently I work with 31 different schools implementing, as Cece said, positive behavioral interventions and supports, or PBIS. And so PBIS is about looking at a climate of a school and doing what we can to enhance that. So kind of like what you guys have been doing here today, really building each other up, celebrating each other's accomplishments, acknowledging all the positive things that are happening. That's what I work with schools to do, okay? And we do that through many different ways, but mostly through looking at our data and really doing problem solving so that we can address some of the issues and concerns and make a plan for moving forward. So that's what I do with the district. So when I hear things, people say things like, that's not a good school, or, you don't want to buy in that district, you don't want to buy in that area because that's not a great school. I'm just here to tell you, I don't have a single school that I work with where I would say that was a true statement, okay? So I want to talk to you about some of those information sources. And I have a daughter, she will be 3 in November, so she'll be attending a Cobb County school, and there is not one that I work with that I would not send her to. So, as a parent of somebody who has some really high expectations for her daycare, I sometimes feel very sorry for them. You can ask Tracy. I have some really high expectations, but we have some amazing schools here in Smyrna, and I just want to share with you some of that information, okay? So we're going to talk about where to go to find accurate information and some different opportunities to stay informed. All right. So first of all, I just want to tell you to please be aware of your data source, all right? Now, if anybody is in cahoots with any of these websites, or you know somebody personally, just help spread the word that some of this information might not be accurate. So I was at ballet class with my little girl, and I was talking to this lady, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to become an agent." And I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, I want to talk to you about some of these schools." And I said, "Okay." She said, I have some clients looking in, blank district, but I've heard that's not a blank. People keep calling it a district, but we're one district, okay? So there's different schools, schools in the area, and you feed to those different schools. And so she said, "When I looked on great schools, they received a D rating." All right, so then I promptly go on great schools, and I look, and that data was from 13-14. It had the wrong principal's name. It had all the wrong information, okay? 13-14 data, we're in 16-17, with 15-16 data having just come out. So, you can see they have since updated that, literally in the last few weeks since I talked to Cece and Tracy, and now it's 14-16 data. But the school climate information, which I'm going to talk about, is from 13-14. So guys, please don't use that as a data source. Don't recommend people to use that as a data source because the data is lagging, okay? FMLS, or what I can see on FMLS, and also Zillow, guess what site they use when they put those different school ratings? They link those schools to grade school sites, okay? So just be aware of that. I'm not saying that this, data this historical data is not good information to have, but just know that these schools are constantly implementing different types of programs to improve what's happening for their students. And looking at data from 13-14 is really not fair, okay? To make your decision on whether or not that's a great school or a good school or not, all right? So then I heard about schoolgrades.org, okay? So I do some investigating. Guess where they get their data? From grade schools. Okay? So please don't use that either, all right? Now, what I will say about both of these sites is that there is some community information on there, like community reviews where parents will write in. And like a school might have a 4 out of 10 rating on one of these sites, but their community reviews are 4 out of 5 or 4.5 out of 5 stars, okay? Wouldn't we rather really think about what the community thinks about the school, what the parents think about the school, and really look at that? But you also have to be wary of some people who make complaints on those sites who really kind of dog what's going on at the school, but it's just 1 or 2 people, right? It's not like every single person who writes in says this is all terrible. If somebody is kind of not happy with what's happened, they might have some really negative things to say on those sites. So just consider multiple sources, okay? That's going to be my theme. So I will say, Tracy told me that this is a site she uses, and this is called School Digger. Now, they actually have data that was pulled from July 17th, 2016. So their test score data is up to date. Okay, so just so you know, that is very true. But here's what I want to remind you, that test scores don't tell you everything about a school, right? I try to liken it to water skiing. Okay. I grew up not being really around water. We didn't go to the lake. We didn't do those kind of things. We had like a little kiddie pool in our yard. So I go with some friends when I'm in high school to water ski. Okay. But they have already had lots of exposure. They've been in boats before. They knew how to put on their life jacket. They knew how to put the skis on. They got on the skis and they skied away, right? I'm someone who's never even been in a boat and never had worn a life jacket, had certainly never put skis on before. So, did I eventually learn how to ski? I most certainly did. But was I able to get on those skis and do just like my friends did because they had had that experience? Of course not, right? So some kids, even if they had gone to go skiing with their friends, they might not have even known how to swim. So they have to learn how to swim before they can learn how to ski, right? So that's what I like in the test scores too. We put a lot of validation into it, and because it's a tangible thing, right? It's a number. But some of those kids who go to school have the potential, right? They just might not have had some of the same experiences that many of our other children have had. So it's going to take them a little bit longer to get there. But does that mean sitting in a room with me, as a water skier, novice, that would make me any less capable or kind or make me not a good person because I didn't know how to ski but my other friends did? Now, that's what I'm trying to say. Just because I might struggle with gaining some of the concepts because I don't have some of the life experience, that doesn't mean we couldn't send our children to be in classes with them because they might just not quite have the pre-knowledge that they need to master these tests. So I'll just give you a little bit something to think about, okay, when we're looking at these test scores. Okay, so what I do with the district, as I mentioned, is I look at school climate. And this is huge. If you read anything about discipline or you on Facebook, it's all over the place. Federal guidance really stresses the importance of school climate, but we don't really talk about that. We're looking at these test scores, and that's how great schools and school grades and even School Digger, that's how they're rating these schools. Big fat D because all the kids didn't achieve the standard. Now, that's not really fair. But what would be more fair is to look at that and also to look at the climate. And it's really about the quality and character of that school life. And that's what I work with schools on. Not saying because they have a poor character, but generally it's because the administrator, the principal says, you know what, we just need to continue to work to do what's best for kids and really look at our data and solve those problems so that we can have a much better working environment for our kids, for our families, and for our teachers. And we look at safety, building relationships, teaching and learning, and the physical environment. So, please make sure that you're looking not just at test scores, but also school being in school. They feel safe. They feel like people want them there. They have relationships with the adults there. There's improved student achievement. There's improved attendance, which of course, if you're in class, you're much more likely to be able to gain the concepts so that you can learn and can, show that on those statewide tests. And also improve perception of those interpersonal relationships. Because when you're shopping or when you're going to restaurants, you go where you know people want you to be, right? And a lot of us might frequent Chick-fil-A. Well, that's because regardless if they believe it or not, I sure feel like they're happy to see me, they're glad I'm there, they're thankful for my business, they'll do whatever it takes to keep me as a customer. So we go where people want us to be. The other day I went into a restaurant, literally the hostess wouldn't acknowledge us. I think it was because I had a kid with me. And then we certainly couldn't get anybody to, help us with what we wanted to order or, even pretend like we existed. So what did we do? We left, right? Because we didn't want to be there. So that school climate, you can see why it's really, really important. If you walked in here and Cece was like, okay, I'm really glad y'all are here. I don't really have anything to present to you, but, we had to have a monthly meeting, so, all right, anybody have questions? You wouldn't come, right? You'd find any reason you could to make a listing appointment or do something else so that you wouldn't have to be here. So that's why you can see how climate matters so much. But whenever we're looking at these, grade schools or school grades or even School Digger, there's no information on there about school climate, okay? So I want to just show you guys where to find that. There are 4 different components. There's survey data, there's student discipline data, safe and substance-free learning environment, and attendance. Okay? And Georgia is the only state in the nation currently utilizing a school climate rating. But many, many, many states are really trying to follow our lead here. Okay? So with the survey data, this is what the report looks like. Now, here's why it's hard for us to try to find information, because sometimes when we get things from the State Department, it's so convoluted that it's hard to find anything. So I'm just going to show you how to do that right now, okay? But this is what the report looks like, and you have to go all the way to the far tab to access the school climate rating, okay? But I'm just going to show you briefly, if it'll let me. Well, I can see it, you can't see it. Hold on 1 second, please. Okay. So, you would literally, if you're looking at Cobb, I heard you talking about some other counties, so this applies to any county in Georgia. You would click on Cobb County, and then you would click on the school, okay? So all the schools in Cobb County are listed here. Once you got to that school, you would click on what level it was, elementary, middle, or high, and it would show you this report, okay? So in there, the survey is perception. So perception of the students, of the safety of the school, how people are treated, how kids treat each other, how adults treat each other. Those survey questions are also asked by parents and asked of the teachers, okay? Then we have student discipline, and that's really suspensions, all right? Then safe and substance-free learning environment is like bullying, harassment, fighting, those type of things. And then attendance is staff, student, and administrator attendance. So, as you can see on this report, if you click over to school climate, you'll see this school was rated 4 stars, and that's 4 out of 5 stars, okay? 3 stars is average, 4 stars is good, and 5 stars is super awesome, all right? So I work with schools on each of these components to help improve not only these ratings, but also improve what's happening within the schools to affect those ratings. So, with not naming any names, okay? On the left is a high school in Smyrna that I work with as a PBIS school. And on the right is another Cobb County high school, to remain nameless, but in an area where people really like to move or like to seek, and they like to say they're trying to get nearer to that because our schools maybe aren't the best schools here in Smyrna. Okay. But I want you to take a look at something. Look at their student survey data. Now, neither one of these scores are high, okay? It's out of 100, so we'd rather see those perception scores much higher. But they're pretty much the same, right? These are high school students. Drug-related incidents. If you look at this high school in Smyrna, they're 98%. I mean, that is really high. That means there were very few drug-related incidents that were reported, okay? But if you look at this other school, these are both awesome schools. This other school had a lower number, okay? So there were more drug-related incidents. As far as survey, meaning how students perceive drugs at their school, they are both very close to each other. Violent incidents, again, the data is better at this high school in Smyrna than here at this other school. And the survey data, again, very much the same. Same goes for bullying and harassment. So you can see how when students are looking at how they perceive the school, they're very much the same.
Why isn't there a survey for bullying and harassment? What do the kids say about it?
The bullying and harassment survey data, I don't know. I didn't add that one to there, but I can get all that information for you. I could pull it up for you. I'm sorry, I just didn't get on my slide there. I mean, I believe this one was like 74% or 74 out of 100. This one might have been 80 something out of 100. Okay? My point here is that kids are kids, all right? And when we say things like those aren't good schools, we're talking about the teachers that work so hard every single day to plan those lessons. And I'm telling you, they get the same training from Cobb County School District. They have the same support, the same materials, all right? So these are great teachers in both schools. These kids are kids in both schools, right? Everybody has issues sometimes, and these kids sometimes perceive the exact same things in each of the schools. But what's really interesting is when you look at the perception data from the parents, the perception data was rated much lower here at this school, okay? But why is that? Is it because really what's happening at this school is so much different from what's happening at this school? Or have we kind of cultivated this thought that, this particular school is not such a great school? Have we cultivated that? Have we talked about that? I mean, thinking right now, how many of us have said, oh, that's not a good school. Oh, I heard that's a really bad school. But have we ever actually stepped foot in those schools? Have we actually met with any of the administrators or talked with any of the students or parents? Now, again, some parents might be unhappy. There could be some issues that are happening. But as a majority or 95% of the people unhappy at those schools, no, they're not. Okay? So I just wanted to show this. Again, not saying anything about this school not doing a great job, because they are. But both schools, they're the same, right? Their students perceive things as the same, and their data even looks improved at a high school in Smyrna. So I just wanted to point that out. Please consider all your different sources. So here's some opportunities to stay informed. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Cobb County Schools Facebook page. Okay, they always are sharing awesome things that are happening. Also, the Smyrna Way of Excellence, Dr. Howard, I know he's here this morning if you haven't met him. An amazing man, an amazing advocate for the schools here in Smyrna. Your child goes to Nick and Jack? Yes. Also follow Twitter at Cobb County Schools. And look for school tours. Many of our principals offer different types of informational sessions for you guys. Like Campbell Middle School, Mr. Tanner, he was hoping to be here today, but he didn't make it. All of his tours begin at 10 a.m. And that's for anybody to go and tour the school. November 1st, December 6th, January 10th, February 7th, March 7th, April 11th, May 2nd. If any of your clients want to go and look at the schools, these are the days you can do that. Also, reaching out to him, again, his name is Jonathan Tanner. You can find all that information on the Cobb County website. He'll be happy to talk to you and answer any of your questions. Griffin Middle School, they also have tours November 1st, December 6th. Those are pretty much the same exact dates. And theirs are at 10 as well. So that's kind of tough, but you can alternate. And then Mr. Gillahan, his name is Paul Gillahan at Griffin, he offers coffee with the principal. And he alternates the times, 8:15 or 5 o'clock. So if you have some questions questions about these schools, or you just want to go in and see the schools and see what's happening, you want to talk with the principals, they are open and willing, and they really want you to do that. Mr. Gillihan shared some data with me whenever he was looking at some rising sixth graders. He had I think it was about 200 children who didn't show up for sixth grade registration, okay? And really, he's been trying to look at why. He's been trying to get on the phone and call every one of those parents and say, where did you go? Probably didn't 200 people didn't move away. Where did you end up sending your kids? Because he really wants that data and wants to understand the perception so that we can improve that, okay? Mr. Mosley is here from Norton Park Elementary School, and I've been working with Mr. Mosley for 2 years and with PBIS, and so, he would like to share just a few things about his awesome school and all the great things they've been doing.
Well, first I want to say good morning and
Good morning.
thanks for having me. Thanks for having us, and thanks for the invite from Kelly. Norton Park is a school. We're in Smyrna. A lot of people can go on those same websites and see things that may say, "Oh my God, that's a tough school. This is a struggling school." When you look at your academics, your numbers, your things. However, we must consider all variables and all factors, and that's the one thing that I ask everyone to do: to come and sit and talk with us, to come and talk to me. Let's walk the school. Let's see our kids in action, because I do believe I have some of the hardest working teachers that are in the county, and it's simply because you have to prepare our students for where they're going. In some areas and some states and some counties, you have parents that are able to afford different luxuries for different exposures for their students. All of our parents don't have that. However, it does not make our students any less able to learn than anyone else. And those are the things that I want to make sure that everyone always understands, is that truly it's a great place to be. And my son went through Griffin. He started at Nickajack because I taught there first. And I would do it all over again. He is now 18 and thank God he's out of school. However, we definitely, I will say, he learned so much from those teachers because they had a heart for what they've done or what they do. We are Title I school. So that tells you right there that a lot of our students come from an area where their family falls in a certain socioeconomic level. And with that does have people kind of say, "Oh, well, what's happening there or what's not happening there?" I have a former parent in the room now, and I will tell you that when you look at the students that stay with us, they come in kindergarten and they stay with us, they end up a lot higher than our students that come and go. There's a lot to be said about our students when they go somewhere else and about what our teachers give. They come in on Saturdays and work with students that need extra help. They stay after school. They come in early without being paid in many situations to support those students. You don't see that everywhere. Smyrna's a great place. We have a number of places becoming available very soon in Smyrna, and I truly want to make sure that everyone understands that my door is open. And if you all want to come together, we can host a meeting if you would like at Norton Park. We can do those types of things so that you can see what's happening in our buildings and within our community. I've met with a number of families that had their students in private school this summer, and they brought them back. They said, "We're going to give you a chance." I said, "You spend $15,000 in private school. If you were to invest your time into our school, your time working with our PTA, I can guarantee you we can give you the same outcome." And they've come. We started a new dual immersion program this year for our kindergarten students. Learning English and Spanish starting in kindergarten. And those parents that enrolled, they're like, I must say, I have a different view since I've been in the school than what I thought from reading things online. So I will always say, come and talk to us. Are we a perfect school? Absolutely not. I haven't seen one yet. But do we have a heart for education and a heart for students? Do we have a heart for what we do? And we're a family. And when you come into the school, you'll see us from the front door to the clerks in the front office, to our custodians that go the extra mile to come in, to stay late, to make sure that our students have what they need. From our volunteers and our partners with other organizations that come in, they see what's happening there. Not only have we worked to grow our climate and our educational programs, we've partnered with other schools in Cobb, because I wanted to partner with schools and say, you know what, come and see what's happening in Smyrna. So the Mount Bethels and the Trits and the Soap Creeks. So they have partnered with us, and they've come over, and their PTA has seen what we actually do, And their words to me were, I didn't realize that this even existed, because we're in this middle of a community. And they see our students, and they're like, your students, they are so bright. They will do whatever it takes. Right now, we have a Be a Millionaire campaign going on. That's because as a school, we want to read 1 million minutes this school year. And so they get every 100 minutes, they get a little brag tag. And it's a simple thing that goes on in there, and we call them brag tags. And whenever they read them, so I read with them, so I get my 100 minutes, and I celebrate with them on the announcements. And right now, they're in competition where I have students that in the last 2 weeks have 11 brag tags. Wow. So I have to go buy more brag tags now. But they're just that excited about reading and about their education and about growing. We partner with other schools and doing other things as well. So right now, I kind of coined a saying, and I say, well, this is our brag tag swag. So they're like, oh, brag tag, we get brag tag swag? So we walk around like, Mr. Mosley, I got brag tag swag, but to see kindergarten students excited about reading, to see 5th graders excited about reading, it's just something that you won't see. I haven't seen it in every building that I've been in, I'll tell you that. And so as we partner with other schools, we partner with Mount Bethel, and we partner with them for our science fair. So we have our local school science fair. And what I want to do is I want to take our students that had never left their community and get them into a different school in a different environment. And I wanted them to have a chance to just experience things in different ways. We partner with them. And what we do now is we have our local school science fair. But Mount Bethel has this amazing science fair that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries. So we take our students to their school and we mix them in together. And this last year, the first we went, it was a learning year for us. This last year, our projects mirrored what we saw within the other schools. So it's just the exposure piece. And I tell parents and people that come into our area, we have to work together. We're a team. Exposure, each grade level is now required to take a minimum of 3 field trips out of the building every year. And that's just because we had gotten away from going out of the building because of cost. That's just really what it was for us. So now we're doing those types of things for the exposure. We have mentors that come in to eat lunch with our kids. So Norton Park is truly a great place to be. I can say it all day long, as you see. But please feel free. I'll leave some cards up here, or send me an email. Stop by at any time. Give us a call. I will be happy to talk to you or anyone that you bring to the school to show them what a great facility we have. We're an old building. We're 54 years old. However, a very clean building, a very cared for building, and you can see the love and what everyone contributes to our school daily. So, again, thank you guys for your time. If you have any questions, let me know. But if not, please stop by at any given time. And thanks again.
So I had Tracy ask me, how are some ways that we can get involved? What are some things we can do with the schools? And like Mr. Mosley said, they have mentors that come and they do some tutoring and some different things with kids, maybe volunteering your time. Some schools do some cleanups on weekends and such. So, check out the different neighboring schools, their Facebook pages, or, even on the Cobb County website, and just try to, look for different ways that these schools just really they love money, but they really need time and they need those kind of resources and people. Okay? They need that. Does anybody have any specific questions for me? Yes.
I'm not well informed on the issue that's coming on the ballot in November that talks about states taking over failing schools. Since you're in the schools, are there areas of Cobb County that those schools would be targeted? I'm looking at some of the scores on School Digger.
Right.
What is that program and how can it work? Obviously, Georgia schools don't rank high nationwide. What can we do to make our schools better?
Well, I will say currently there are no schools on that focus. And Mr. Mosley, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know some stuff about it. Sorry, you didn't get to get out quickly enough. Who are on that focus list that they would necessarily be targeting. But what I do want you to do is read all the information that's on that Opportunity School District. The idea is that if a school was seen as failing, then the Opportunity School District, there would be like a committee that would come in and would decide that, and it could potentially take over that school and decide how to use money, resources, and all those type of things.
And it's a 3 consecutive year of below that 60% mark, where it would be. Again, I don't get into the politics of it, but what I will say is The resources that we have, the time that we put into our students, there are other factors, as I said before. When you're looking at transiency, you're looking at attendance. You have to look at all of those factors when you're looking at a true picture of a school and its score. I would challenge anyone to look at the students that's stayed in a school from K through 5 that's had almost perfect attendance and look at their academic achievements versus someone who's unfortunately had to move a number of times due to whatever the situations may be. Those students sometimes have to readjust a lot, and that adjustment time takes time, and for some families it's necessary. However, the child at that point who's at the mercy of their parents or their guardians, they have to adjust. When we were talking about that coming up, I would definitely encourage everyone to read and to truly get a glimpse of it, because I don't know what would be different. I don't have a
And I think
voice on that.
part of the concern is that what would be the criteria for becoming one of those schools? And I don't think that has been very clearly set, and so we don't know really what that could look like.
Kelly, excuse me.
Yes.
Can we have Dr. Howard? I know his time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dr. Howard. No.
No, I would very much like for you to speak to us. Thank you. Everybody,
I'm
Kelly properly
sorry
introduced
to-
yourself.
No, that's wonderful. I'm
Good
glad
to
to
see
have
you
you
again.
here.
Really quickly, my sincere apologies. I have to talk and run, kind of in between patients. So I'm Dr. Jaha Howard. Jaha like aha. Last name Howard. I'm a pediatric dentist. Grew up in Atlanta, Mays High School graduate, and Howard University graduate, UIC in Chicago, and back here. Married 9 years, 3 kids. I have a kindergartner at Nick and Jack Elementary. I live in West Village, which you guys know. Some of you guys send little Miller and say, hey, don't you want to sell your house? But I'm going to tell you a story. My wife and I, when we first moved in the area about 7 years ago, the realtor said, well, you know, there's great homes, great little neighborhood here, but you probably don't want to go to your local schools, right? Nick and Jack. That's what they told us. So we just went in saying, oh, we'll go in, and like many of our families in Smyrna, plan to leave. We're going in planning to leave. But we open up practice in Vinings Jubilee, have patients on both sides of the Chattahoochee, parents from all kind of backgrounds, from old money, no money, or new money, all kind of folks coming in, right? And everyone had the same concerns, everyone had the same questions. They want to know, what about the schools? What about the schools? And we had so many awesome families, and everyone had the same questions, and no one was talking about it. Everyone just went on great schools and said, okay, that's what it is. Or on playground talk, you're pushing your baby. So what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, I'm leaving. I'm going. Oh, I heard so-and-so. I heard so-and-so. Okay. So we started a group about almost 4 years ago now called Wave of Excellence. Just parents getting on Facebook, having a positive, solution-oriented forum to make sure that our schools are better. We wanted to focus it, so it's all Campbell High and its feeder schools. So that's it. Campbell High and all the feeder schools for Campbell High. And this thing blew up. It went from 15 parents to 50 parents to 100 parents, and now it's almost 3,000 people on this group. 3,000 people. When dual language, people were talking about dual language, a lot of that came out of Wave of Excellence. Parents saying, hey, language is a missing piece. Let's push for it. The community came together. When folks are talking about middle school, I don't know about middle school. Hey, guess what? Here's a forum where we can talk to parents at the middle schools. And now folks are like, oh, well, I'm going to go do a tour. Now Campbell and Griffin say, we've never had so many people do tours. Just come and see. And that's because of community involvement. That's what we're trying to build, building our community, talking to one another. I tell people, and I've had patients that actually left, they went to East Cobb, and they still come to my office, and they're saying, I should have listened to you. I should have stayed. Smyrna's hot right now, right? I should have stayed. Because we, unfortunately, chase test scores, but we don't chase the character of our schools, right? And I liken it to stepping on a scale. We're obsessed with the number, but what we're trying to do is be healthy, right?
Right.
But we're so focused on the number that we equate the number to being healthy, when it's not the case. It's an indicator. It gives us a part of the story, but many of us in here know that just because you weigh a certain amount doesn't mean you're one or the other, right? So that's the exact same thing that's happening. So we're building community here. It's an exciting time to be here. I tell tell folks if I had a 5th grader, I'd be excited about going to Campbell Middle School. I can't wait. I've spoken with Mr. Tanner several times. I've been to the school. I've seen the brilliant kids at that school and have conversations with them. Some of them are my patients. I can't wait. And then I talked to some of my parents. It's like, oh, aren't you going to Lubbock? Aren't you going to Westminster? I was like, I could. I don't want to. I want to go to Nickajack. I want to go to Campbell. I can't wait. Campbell IB program, Campbell General program. I can't wait. I can't wait. Because you can't find another school feeder program like this anywhere else in the state, with the background, the diversity, not just in ethnicity, but just personality, right? There's some areas in Georgia, not too far from here, they have an air where folks are, maybe nose is a little bit higher, right? You know, but there's some just everyday people here from all kind of backgrounds, and many of you live in the area, and you can't get that everywhere. If you're out there on a Tuesday, Food Truck Tuesday, you just look around and say, man, this is amazing. This is what the rest of Georgia is afraid of. People are running away from this because they don't know what to do with it. It's not perfect, but we make it work, right? I call it kind of a beautiful tension. It challenges you. You're going to get in. You're going to be next to a parent that grew up a little bit different. They're going to challenge you a little bit, right? Their personality, they talk a little different. You know, they come from a different background, but it makes us better people. So that's why I came. I wanted to just thank you so much for giving me a few minutes just to let you know why Wave of Excellence even exists and why it's taken off. It's because people are excited about being a part of the solution, right? This kind of like, let's run and find the solution. We got to get away from that. It's fundamentally wrong. We are the solution. It's us. Not running to go find it. No, it's us. So we're just adding to it. And if you have 100 people all pushing in relatively the same direction, we're a whole lot stronger and powerful doing that than everyone else just scattering around. It's basic physics, right? It's the same thing with business. So it's exciting. And imagine if you guys start to generally push in a similar direction. Powerful stuff happens. So we're excited. I'm excited. You guys are excited. It's just nice to have excited people all together. So we're just waiting for some of y'all to catch up, you know. I mean, you know, so you'll thank us later. But what happens, unfortunately, there is still that old reputation, right? There's that reputation of people who have already made the decision to leave. And every day, because they oftentimes didn't want to leave, you have to now justify in your mind why you left. So every time you write that big check, you're going to say, that other place is really bad. The other place is really bad. The other place is really bad. Every time you look and say, man, I used to love my old neighborhood, but now you got to fight through all this crazy traffic in other parts of the county. You got to drive and say, the other place is really bad. The other place is really bad. So you got there's some psychology to it, you know? There's some psychology to it. But, you know, as we joke around in our office, a pediatric office, I like to have fun. So it's hashtag catch up, right? Hashtag catch up. Catch up. Let's do it. Let's do it. So I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to run back. If you have questions, I'm easy to find on like Facebook or call me